The world had never seen anything quite like her.
It did not happen in a design studio.
Will you come with me to the bathroom and let me show you what this actually does? She couldn't afford a lawyer. She flew to factories herself because she had no sales team.
Because the people who did have the budget, and the agency, and the showroom, and the legal team, and the polished pitch deck, never walked anyone into a bathroom, never got the order.
Because a woman with $5,000 and no backup plan walked into a bathroom and told the truth about what her product did.
Can I show you? This will redefine luxury.
The most powerful tool you will ever hold is not a business degree. It is not a network. It is not capital.
She did not build Spanx by being smarter than everyone else. She built it by being willing.
What did you fail at this week?
Because she understands something that most people, surrounded by the comforting noise of their own credentials, have forgotten. And every single one of those limitations, every shortage, every gap, every embarrassing workaround play became an advantage.
You never did. You only need what you already have. Right now. In your hands. And no one had thought to make what she had just made with a pair of scissors.
What if I told you? The most valuable fashion company ever built by a woman alone started in a bathroom. What if I told you? The woman who invented one of the best-selling garments in American history had never taken a single class in fashion, in business, in law, or in manufacturing, and used a book she bought for $20 to write her own patent. And what if I told you that every single expert said no? Every door was locked, every mill turned her away, every professional she approached looked at her and saw nothing. She had $5,000. She had an idea. She had a pair of scissors. And she had something the experts forgot to measure. This is not a business story. This is a story about what happens when someone refuses to accept the word no. As a final answer, there is a moment in the year 1998 that changed the underwear industry forever. It did not happen in a boardroom. It did not happen in a design studio. It did not happen in any of the gleaming offices of the billion-dollar companies who had owned this space for decades. It happened in a bathroom in Atlanta, Georgia, at a party that a 27-year-old woman was getting ready to attend. Her name was Sara Blakely. She was going to wear cream-colored trousers. She wanted them to look smooth. She did not own the right undergarment to make them look smooth. So she picked up a pair of scissors. She cut the feet off her pantyhose. She looked in the mirror. And she thought,
Why does this not exist already? Why
does this not exist already? That question, that single, barefoot, bathroom question, was worth $1.2 billion. But she did not know that yet. She just knew that she looked good in her trousers, and that no one had thought to make what she had just made with a pair of scissors. And she was right. No one had. Because no woman had ever been in charge of the decision. Understand who Sara Blakely was. Before Spanx, she was not born into money. She was not born into fashion. She was not discovered by an investor or mentored by a genius. She grew up in Clearwater, Florida. Her father was a trial lawyer who did something most parents never do. Every week at the dinner table, every single week, he asked his children, "What did you fail at this week?" Not, "What did you win?" Not, "What did you achieve?" What did you fail at? If they had no answer, he was disappointed, because no failure meant no attempt, and no attempt meant no growth, and no growth was the only thing he was truly afraid of. He taught his daughter something that most of the world teaches in reverse. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the road to it. She wanted to be a lawyer like her father. She took the LSAT. She failed. She took it again. She failed again. She ended up selling fax machines, door to door, in the Florida heat, for 7 years. 7 years. She woke up every morning and drove to offices and buildings that did not want to see her coming. She knocked on doors that slammed in her face. She was hung up on, dismissed, ignored, laughed at. Every single day, for 7 years. But here is what 7 years of door-to-door rejection actually does to a person if they have the right foundation. It does not break them. It trains them. It trains them to hear no as the beginning of a conversation, not the end of one. It trains them to pitch, to pivot, to persist. It trains them to look a locked door in the face and find the window. When Sara Blakely left the fax machine company, she had $5,000 in savings. $5,000. And an idea about pantyhose. And 7 years of training in the most grueling sales school ever devised by accident. She did not tell anyone about the idea. For a year, she told no one, because she understood something, intuitively, privately, alone, that most business schools charge tuition to miss. An unborn idea is fragile, and the people who love you most are often the most effective at killing it before it lives. She protected the idea in silence. She researched the hosiery industry alone. She read books on patents alone. She wrote her own patent alone. After spending $20 on a how-to guide with no legal training, no lawyer, no guidance from anyone. Because she could not afford a lawyer. She submitted the patent herself. The United States Patent Office accepted it. She had a patent. She had no product. She had no manufacturer. She had no factory. She had $5,000 and a hand-drawn sketch of something that did not yet exist. She began calling hosiery mills. There are not many of them. The hosiery industry in America is a quiet, old, insular world. A world built by men, run by men, designed around the assumptions of men. About what women want to wear underneath their clothes. She called every mill she could find. She flew to North Carolina, the hosiery capital of America. And she walked into the offices of men who had been making underwear since before she was born. She pitched her idea. They said no. She pitched again. They said no. She pitched again. No, 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 no. Mill after mill, meeting after meeting, door after door, no. Weeks passed. She had no manufacturer. She had a shrinking bank account. She had an idea that the entire industry had formally declared did not need to exist. And then, one man called her back. A mill owner in North Carolina. He had daughters. He had gone home after the meeting, told his daughters about this woman and her idea about footless pantyhose. And his daughters had said, "Dad, that's brilliant. Make it." He called Sara the next morning. She had her manufacturer. From the word no, spoken 8 times in a row, to one yes, born from daughters who knew what their father did not. She had a product. She had no money left to market it. She had no brand, no distributor, no connection to a single department store on the face of the earth. She had a prototype, and she had the audacity, the sheer, staggering, uncontainable audacity to pick up the phone and call Neiman Marcus. Neiman Marcus, the most iconic luxury department store in America, the store that does not take meetings with people who have no appointment, no track record, no brand, no industry credentials of any kind. She got a meeting. 10 minutes with a buyer in the Dallas office. She flew to Dallas. She sat across a desk from a buyer who had 100 other appointments that week and no particular reason to give this woman more than the 10 minutes she'd been offered. The buyer listened. The buyer was politely unconvinced. Sara Blakely looked at the buyer. She looked at the door. She looked back at the buyer. And she said, "Can I show you? Will you come with me to the bathroom and let me show you what this actually does?"
I know this product belongs on your shelves.
There is no script for that moment. There is no business school class that prepares you for asking a Neiman Marcus buyer to follow you into a bathroom. The buyer paused, and then she followed. In that bathroom, Sara Blakely put on a pair of cream trousers without Spanx, then with Spanx. The buyer looked at the difference. She placed an order before they left the bathroom. Neiman Marcus, Bloomingdale's, Saks Fifth Avenue, Bergdorf Goodman, all followed. Not because of an advertising campaign, not because of a celebrity endorsement, not because of a single dollar spent, on traditional marketing. Because a woman with $5,000 and no backup plan walked into a bathroom and told the truth about what her products did. In the year 2000, 2 years after she cut the feet off her pantyhose, Oprah Winfrey called Spanx one of her favorite things. Understand what that meant in the year 2000. There was no Twitter, there was no Instagram, there was no viral moment that could spread across a screen in the pocket of every human being alive. There was Oprah, and when Oprah spoke, America listened. Not some of America, not an algorithm's estimate of America. America. The phones did not ring after the episode. The phones did not stop ringing. Orders came in, faster than Sara Blakely's entire company, which was at that moment still essentially one woman, and a dream and a storage unit could possibly fulfill them. She had not courted Oprah. She had not paid for placement. She had not hired a PR firm, or a celebrity relations agency, or a single person whose job it was to get her on that list. She had mailed a gift basket to Oprah's stylist, a basket with a pair of Spanx inside, and a handwritten note. A handwritten note from a woman who had $5,000 and no other option, except to be genuine, in a world that had not yet learned to mistake performance for sincerity. In 2012, 14 years after a pair of scissors, in a bathroom in Atlanta, Sara Blakely appeared on the cover of Forbes. The headline read, "The world's youngest self-made female billionaire." Youngest, self-made, female, billionaire. Every word in that headline is a separate monument to a separate impossibility. She refused. She had taken no outside investment. She had diluted none of her equity. She owned 100% of a company worth $1.2 billion. One woman, 100%. No venture capital, no bank loan, no wealthy family, no husband's income as a safety net. $5,000. Scissors, a book about patents, 7 years of fax machine rejection that the universe had been preparing as tuition for a course she didn't know she was enrolled in. She did not build Spanx by being smarter than everyone else. She was not the most educated person in any room she entered. She was not the most connected. She was not the most experienced. She built Spanx by being willing to do the things that everyone else found too embarrassing, too small, too beneath them to do. She wrote her own patent because she couldn't afford a lawyer. She flew to factories herself because she had no sales team. She called strangers cold because she had no warm introductions. She walked buyers into bathrooms because she had no showroom. She sent handwritten notes because she had no marketing budget. And every single one of those limitations, every shortage, every gap, every embarrassing workaround, became an advantage. Because the people who did have the budget, and the agency, and the showroom, and the legal team, and the polished pitch deck, never walked anyone into a bathroom, never got the order. She still has them. The scissors. The pair she used that night in Atlanta in 1998 to cut the feet off the pantyhose. She kept them. She framed them. They hang on her wall because she understands something that most people, surrounded by the comforting noise of their own credentials, have forgotten. The most powerful tool you will ever hold is not a business degree. It is not a network. It is not capital. It is the willingness, quiet, unannounced, alone in a bathroom, to look at what you have and ask, why does this not exist yet? And then to go and make it. Gabrielle Chanel picked up a needle. Sara Blakely picked up a pair of scissors. Two women, 2 centuries apart, 2 tools, 2 industries changed forever. And one identical truth, buried underneath everything they ever made. You do not need the world's permission to begin. You never did. You only need what you already have right now in your hands. Successful brand leaves clues, a logo, a slogan, a feeling. But behind every feeling, there is strategy. Behind every advertisement, psychology. Behind every billion-dollar company, a hidden system. The people who learn these lessons don't stay ordinary for long. So if you want to understand the psychology of influence, the mindset behind global success, and the hidden wounds that created billion-dollar empires, subscribe to the channel. Because missing one video could mean missing one life-changing idea.